Can you allow the screen sharing, please? Okay, good morning. Let's start with uh, today's discussion. So today we are going to start talking about armor as a concept, and then see what role it plays in disease formation. And we are also going to talk about some interesting components. So what do you understand by armor?
It's a toxicity in the body.
Okay, it's a toxicity in the body. So what kind of toxicity is it?
Partially digested food.
Partially digested food. So when we talk about armor, the word armor, AMA, armor in Sanskrit itself means something that is not completely digested. The word itself means that something that is not completely digested. So when we talk about armor as a concept in Ayurveda, it basically means that the food that you consume, if it is not digested properly, if it is half digested, if it is partially digested, then that acquires a form which is like a half digested food, which is called as armor. Now, obviously, when we are talking about food not digested, then the concept of Agni, which we studied earlier last time, is what is critical in deciding whether ama is formed or not formed. Correct? Concept of Agni is important in that. So now, what is Agni?
The digestive power, the heart of the whole body, like the most important part of the whole digestive system to work properly.
Anybody else wants to elaborate, talk, say something about Agni?
It's the digestive fire that convert the food into nutrients and into mass.
Yeah. So you may think that, why I'm asking this question after studying so much of Ayurveda. Yeah, because it's such a simple question. Agni means fire, fire means digestion. So why am I asking the question? So then, is Agni and Pitta different? Right, the fun starts now, right?
I think I want to say yes, because Pitta is a dosha.
Mm-hmm.
Agni has its own function of digesting the food and converting, so they are linked. They are two separate things to me.
So you are saying that Agni and Pitta are different because Pitta is a dosha and Agni is something that digests, correct?
Yeah, they're composed of the main elements.
Okay.
Well,
But
Agni,
then we also say that the main function of Pitta is transformation, right?
yeah,
We say that Pachaka Pitta is responsible for digestion, right?
yeah.
So then what happens to your earlier statement that Agni and Pitta are different?
Why would we call it Agni and Pitta then, if it's the same thing?
That's the question.
But Pitta has water, so something that can like aggravate Pitta cannot aggravate Agni sometimes. I think that's the difference also, no?
Okay, go on, Pedro.
Yeah, something, for example, I don't know, drinking water like can like go down the digestive power, the Agni, and go up the Pitta because it's water. So you have the main difference there, I think.
So you started well, but then again lost track. Okay, sorry. Okay. So when we understand um, Agni and when we understand Pitta, there is a massive discussion in the original textbooks as to are they same or are they different. So let's look at a substance like ghee, correct? Let's look at a substance like ghee. What is the action of ghee on the doshas? Guys, come on. I can't go back to your, basic lectures. What is the action of ghee on the doshas?
Ghee is nourishing. It's actually helps as well to digest the amount. And
What is the action of ghee on dosha?
it pacifies
It would
and increase kapha.
Sorry, Elena, can you repeat, please?
It pacifies vata and pitta and increase kapha.
Okay, perfect. But when we look at the three doshas, vata, pitta, and kapha, isn't ghee the best substance explained for pacifying pitta in the textbooks? No?
Yes.
Yes. So basically, where we are coming to is that if sesame oil is the best substance for vata pacification, ghee is given as the best substance for pitta pacification, then ghee, which pacifies pitta but stimulates agni, correct? We have seen this, and it's given as prabhav of the ghee. If you study, it's been given as the prabhava of ghee. But still, if something is pacifying the same thing, if suppose pitta and agni were the same, then if ghee was pacifying pitta slash agni, because the textbooks are saying, and we also know that ghee is one of the best substances for pacifying pitta, then how would it stimulate agni? So the question here that I asked was because I wanted to understand whether the understanding that pitta and agni are different or same, what is your thought on this? So when we go back to the understanding of pitta and agni, what is the doshic combination? What is the elemental composition of pitta?
Fire, water.
Fire and water. Correct. So now something that has got fire and water in it, will it be able to digest in reality? For digestion, you need fire, but then there is water also. So if there is water, water is opposite the action of fire. So will it really be able to digest, burn, transform something? The answer to that is no. Sorry, I am kind of, we're starting in the morning, 10 o'clock. It's 6 o'clock here. And I am, being very controversial here, so to say. But this is a very interesting concept that, you know, um, is important for us to understand going forward. Because these are the kind of questions you may have after a year, after 2 years, when you start, you know, dealing with the patients, dealing with people who have health problems, and then you will not understand what is ghee doing exactly. Is it pitta increasing because it increases agni, or is it pitta pacifying because I can apply it on an inflammation, on burns, etc., or I can consume it internally when my pitta is aggravated, when I have mouth ulcers. What exactly is happening, and how is it happening? So when we go back to the elemental composition of pitta, pitta is fire and water. And please understand that when there is fire and water in it, pitta can be present in the body, but it will not be consistently doing the function of digestion. Right? So, because we don't constantly feel hungry, the pitta is always there in the body. Correct? Pitta is always there in the body. Does it make us feel hungry? No, it doesn't. So which means that there is some change happening in this pitta at some stage, which then causes this pitta to start functioning like Agni. And we always say, we have said this from day one, that who is responsible for stimulating the pitta? Who is responsible for stimulating the Agni? Who is responsible for stimulating the Agni?
But Vata?
The Vata. So when we say that the Samana Vata, which is present in the digestive system, does the function of stimulating the Agni, what it really means is that this Samana Vata will actually make this Pitta ready, or bring it in a condition where this Pitta will be now like an Agni and start acting like a fire to digest the food that you consume. So the pitta which is present and the agni which is there, they are together. The pitta and the agni are together. So the question remains, what change happens? The change is exactly where Pedro started talking about, that if the water component of the pitta is removed and only the fire remains, that is when the pitta will start digesting the food. So leaving its Jala Mahabhuta qualities and only remaining predominantly of the fire element, which means that the anxious quality of the pitta has to reduce. Correct? When I say the Jala Mahabhut has to reduce, is that's the anxious quality, because that is the property of the Jala Mahabhuta. The anxiousness, the liquid nature, etc. And this change is brought about by the Samanavata, by drying up the liquid, by drying up the pitta, making it predominantly of the fire element, and then making it ready to be able to digest the food. So when we say that I am starting to feel hungry, I am starting to feel, a little bit hungry, there is something happening now, my energy is reducing, my agni is getting stimulated, whatever language you use, the meaning of that is that your Jathar Agni is being stimulated, your Agni is being stimulated, which means the Pitta, which is there in the body, is getting ready to be like a fire to burn the food that you consume. Burn the food meaning if you put something in the fire, obviously it is going to get burned. But here it is not burning to an ash or a charcoal or something. It is transforming it into a form which is acceptable to the body. So when we talk about this concept of Agni, when we talk about this concept of Pitta, Pitta and Agni are two different entities. The Pitta will, the heating nature in the Pitta, the heating quality in the Pitta is what is actually the Agni. And that will become predominant, that will become active when the Jala Mahabhuta in the Pitta is reduced, or the Pitta let go of its Jala Mahabhuta qualities, which is done by the Samana. How? Because we know that the air, the Vata, is drying in nature. So when we say that, Samana stimulates the Agni, Samana aggravates the Agni, what does it do? It basically stimulates the fire by reducing the Jala Mahabhuta and making the fire stronger, or making the Pitta ready to digest the food. And that is what we call, or we consider, appetite. That is what we consider feeling hungry. So this state of Pitta letting go of its Jala Mahabhuta is not a constant scenario. It is not a 24-hour scenario. It will happen after certain intervals of time, which is what will then give us the feeling of appetite, hunger, and that's when you eat. Now, if I'm looking at this as is this concept clear? First of all, what I'm trying to say here, that Pitta and Agni are different. Pitta needs to let go of its Jala Mahabhuta element and become predominantly of the fire element to be able to digest the food. And that is exactly why one of the important reasons which have been given as something that disturbs the fire in the body, disturbs the Agni in the body, is excessive intake of fluids. Because here your samana is trying to let the pitta let go of its water element, and you are drinking water element from your mouth constantly. So the pitta, the pachaka pitta is letting go of its jala mahabhuta, and you are adding jala mahabhuta into the body constantly. So samana can only do so much of stimulation, right? End of it, it will say, I can't do beyond this. Now you handle your situation. And that is exactly what happens then. The Agni will get disturbed. It will remain predominantly of Jala Mahabhuta. I am not saying that it will not be able to digest, but it is not ready to digest. Because the heat is still there, but it is with the water element. So it is not equipped enough. It is not strong enough to digest the food. And that's what we call as the weak Agni. That's what we call as the Agni strength is less. So even if your pitta increases in quantity, can result into weak Agni in a situation like this. Because when you drink water, your pitta has increased quantitatively because of the Jala Mahabhuta. But its intensity, the fire intensity, has reduced. It is like a diluted acid. And when it is like a diluted acid, the strength is less. It is not going to be able to digest the food that you consume. Now, this also brings us to an important discussion, that it means that we need to eat food when samana has done its job of removing the water element, keeping the pachaka pitta predominantly of the fire element, which is causing us to observe the signs and symptoms of appetite, hunger, etc., is the ideal time we should be eating. So, what Ayurveda says eat when hungry. We always ask the person, do you eat because it's time, or do you eat because you are hungry? What do people say? I don't know. No, 12 o'clock is the lunch time, so I feel hungry at that time. Oh no, because 7 o'clock is my class when I cannot eat, so that's why I eat at 5 o'clock before going to the class. Oh no, I feel hungry around 8 o'clock, but my work finishes at 10 o'clock, and that's why I eat when I come back home at 11 o'clock. What am I trying to say here? I'm trying to give you examples of what happens in real life, that when the Agni is ready, the food is not ready. The Agni cannot wait for eternity for the food to arrive. That, okay, I am ready now. Come on, send some food, send some food. How long can it wait? Any idea how long can it wait? So that's exactly what I started saying, that it's going to be an interesting discussion because you're going to get some insights which probably, you have never heard, never thought about, never understood. So what is the duration of your entire digestive process? Do you know that from start to end, from when you eat to your ahara rasa being converted, your nutrient fluid being made?
Would it depend on what you were eating, whether it was something
Absolutely.
like meat? Yeah.
Absolutely. It will depend on what you're eating. It will depend on, your individual Agni also. But what is the average time considered?
Is it 36 hours? I don't know why.
3
I
hours.
thought that.
36 hours is
The
like,
whole
so
process
Hmm.
from taking food and then excreting. No? Okay.
yes, Dory?
3 hours. One to
Anybody
2
else?
hours.
Anybody wants to add? Yes, Elena, do you want to add something?
I should say 4 hours.
5 hours. Okay.
He misheard. 4.
4.
4. 4. So, I'm going to make a special mention of Elena here because she did ask last time a question about Bhutagni. Okay. And when she asked me this question, I thought about it that, is it, do I need to go into so much of depth or not go? But then because the question was asked, I thought, okay, let me go there. Let me reach there. So this entire discussion is basically starting because there was a question asked last time about Bhutagnis, and I'm going to eventually come to that also and answer that question. And I am sure that's going to clear, the doubts or the queries that Elena had last time, and probably you had a lot of you might have had. And I also went back and thought, let me, go back to the books and see what the books are saying. So that topic is what we are going to touch upon. But before that, I want to clarify these doubts so that when we reach there, the understanding is clear. So, that's a thank you to her to asking that question, you know, so that we could go to this topic today. And that's the reason I say that, you ask questions so that I know what level, what depth you want to study to, because individually, every batch has a different level of understanding. Every batch has a different level they want to go to. So that will depend batch to batch. But yes, good you asked that question. And that's why, we are here today. So coming back to this, I asked a question, how long does a digestive process remain? So the answer to that is typically it is around 3 to 4 hours. So 3 to 4 hours is the time in which the food will get completely digested. Now these 3 to 4 hours consist of 3 stages of digestion. Am I making sense?
Yeah,
You've studied the 3 stages of digestion?
I don't think so.
Sorry?
I don't think so.
Okay. So when we are talking of the digestive process, I will go back to the 3 stages of digestion. And please understand, okay? The reason I am spending so much time on Agni as a concept, or I am talking about the digestive system, is because when 99% of your problems are going to arise from the digestive system, our understanding of the digestive system has to be perfect. If your life and death depends on the Agni, if your life and death depends on the strength of the Agni, then you need to be very clear about these concepts. Everything in the body is going to be dependent on this. How your tissues are formed is going to be dependent on your digestive system. How your strength is going to be dependent on your digestive system. How your immunity is going to be dependent on your digestive system. Whether your systems, your srotasas are functioning properly is going to depend on your digestive system. Whether there is armor, not armor is going to depend on your digestive system. Your skin complexion, your sensory organ function, your mind function, your brain function, everything is going to end at one thing, which is how is your digestive system functioning, means how is your Agni function. So when we say that your digestive system or your digestion is completed in 3 to 4 hours, food goes through the 3 stages of digestion. Last time when we were talking, or last to that, we were talking about a concept of rasa and vipaka, correct? Rasa and vipaka. Now, that rasa and vipaka, how many rasas are there? 6. Rasa is taste, right? 6 tastes are there. How many vipaka post-digestive effects are there?
3.
3, which are
Sweet, sour, and pungent.
sweet, sour, and pungent. We also said that rasa, or the taste, is perceived immediately when the food comes in contact with the tongue, whereas the vipak is something that the nutrient fluid acquires the taste post digestion, correct? Right? This is what we spoke. But you have also studied that depending on the digestive stage, depending on the stage the food is in, your pulse changes. At least you have heard about it. Correct? We mentioned this also. So what does it say? Immediately after eating the food, in the first stage, the kapha is dominant. In the second stage, the pitta is dominant. And in the third stage, the vata is dominant. Have we heard about this? The pulse, I'm saying, at least you must have read about this, that during the digestive process also, or one should not check the pulse after consuming the food, because the consumed food, whilst undergoing the digestive process, will show its effect on the pulse, whereby the pulse will be dominant in the first, immediately after eating food. After some time, it will start showing pitta dominance, and after some time, it will start showing the vata dominance. Now, when we go back to the digestive processes, and you have consumed the food, what is the first thing that happens with the food? You chew it, correct? Then what happens? It mixes with the saliva, correct? It mixes with the saliva. You understand the taste because of, the bodhaka kapha taking it to your taste buds, and from there you understand the taste. Fine. Now, once the bolus is formed, what happens? Does this bolus automatically roll down the digestive system into your stomach? The mouth is here, the stomach is down, so by gravity, it's going to roll down automatically. Is it that? No.
No, the muscles contract.
The muscles contract. That's the Western physiology. In Ayurveda, deglutition, which is swallowing the food, is under the purview of which vata? Go back, study. Pranavata, prana, does the function of swallowing of the food, just like it does the function of speech, it does the function of belching, it does the function of sneezing, it also does the function of swallowing the food and taking the air in. Correct? Prana is the vata which does the functions inwards as well as outwards. So swallowing the food is the function done by prana. So what is swallowing? It is a movement stimulated by vata. So it is not a natural movement. It is not something that, oh, okay, the bolus is formed. It just rolls down by gravity down the digestive system slowly into the digestive system, into the stomach. No, it is the prana which is going to literally push the food down into your stomach. What happens when people suffering from bulimia, anorexia? If it was just as simple as you put the food in, chew in, and it goes down automatically, why do they vomit? Is the disturbed prana which does not, let them swallow the food. It is the prana which is not taking the food down the digestive system. So, and that is why they will vomit the food. They will, expel the food. They will throw out the food. So the body is rejecting the food. So it is not the natural gravitational force that is taking down the food down the digestive tract. So this food is pushed down the digestive system by the prana. It comes into the stomach. And we have said that in stomach, it further breaks down into smaller particles because of the muscular action, mixes with the mucus in the stomach, correct? Mixes with the kledaka kapha in the stomach, correct? And what does it result into? It results into small particles covered with this kledaka kapha, right? So this stage where everything, every food particle is covered by kapha, brings about the first stage of digestive process, which is the kapha dominant stage, because the food is like sweetened. Because of the kledaka kapha action, everything is covered by kapha. So it is as if it is being converted into a sweet substance because of the kledaka kapha action. And that is why in the first stage of digestive process, which is called as the sweet stage of the digestive process, you will see the dominance of kapha in your pulse because of the kledaka kapha action on the food. Now the question is, why this converting into sweet? What is the purpose of making the food unctuous? Why is it required to do that? What is the basic purpose of food in the body? The basic purpose of the food in the body is provide nourishment, correct? And which is the rasa which has got the most ability to nourish the body? Which rasa?
Sweet.
Sweet. So the rasa which has got the maximum potential to nourish the body is sweet, which is Prithvi and Jala. And that is the reason why the first stage of digestion is where the food is converted into a sweet substance. The foods that are consumed are predominantly of sweet in nature. Please understand. We also tend to consume foods which are predominantly of sweet nature. We do not consume pungent taste in a quantity of half kilo. We do not consume pungent taste on its own 1 kilo. We don't consume bitter taste in 1 kilo, half kilo quantity, if that is the quantity of food we eat. If we look at our food, our predominant quantity of food is Madhura Rasa. Even when we are consuming carbs, what are carbs? Carbs are sweet. Even when we are consuming fats, fats are sweet. Even when we are consuming protein, depending on the protein we are consuming, it is going to be still sweet. So nourishing nature of the food will only come from Madhura Rasa. When you cook rice, what do? You add water in it, right, to cook? You don't take the rice and put it in a vessel and put it on a gas or a stove. It will burn the rice. It will char the rice, correct? The same thing happens in a body. When you take rice, when you add water, when you cook it, what happens? The conversion of rice starts happening because of the water and the rice combination. Water is preventing the rice from getting burnt, from getting charred, and helping in the process of digestion. Where the rice, which was unacceptable form of the rice of a food to be consumed, is being converted into a form which is acceptable. Same will happen in the body. The food that you consume has to be mixed with sneha, with the anxious quality, with the kapha. Why? To prevent the food to be acted upon by the fire directly, whereby the fire burns the food, doesn't let it convert into a form which is acceptable to the body. Are you understanding?
I understand. And you as well talked about the fact that the water will lower the agni, which makes sense. But now the water it's obviously the sweet taste.
This is-
so it's,
This is basically, it is like a hydrochloric acid which is of a pH 3, and it's a hydrochloric acid of a pH 10. So intrinsic nature of hydrochloric acid is to burn, right? Correct? When you put it on a substance, it's going to burn. Correct? Now that is what is your pitta. Whether it is diluted, not diluted, will bring in the quality of or the strength of digestion in it. Keep that separate. Correct? But once you have removed the water element from the pitta, which is required for the digestive process to start, but at the same time, the food has to be broken down into smaller particles covered with this sneha. This is not water. Kapha is not water. Kapha is earth and water. And it is everything has to be in the right order. It cannot be excess. Even if excess kapha is secreted, your food is not going to get digested properly. And that is exactly what we are saying, that you cannot consume excess fluids, because that is going to cause disturbance with your Agni also. And the example that I gave you about rice, that if you have to cook rice, you need to add water in it. If you add too much water, what is going to happen? The rice will become soggy. If you add less water, what will happen? It will become very dry. Chances of the rice charring is there. So the right quantity of kapha, Kledak kapha, mixing into the food is going to help the digestive process to be completed. It is going to help in the digestion by avoiding the action of fire onto the action of Agni onto the food in such a way that it burns the food. Simultaneously, we know in the modern physiology, what does it say? The mucus lining will also protect the mucus secreted will also protect the linings of the digestive system to be affected by the enzymes. So that is a separate action. But here on the food, the first stage of digestion is where the food is converted into a sweet substance because of the nature which is intrinsically nourishing, which is the purpose of the consumption of the food. And that is the first stage of digestion, which is nourishment of the food, the sweet stage of the digestive process, whereby kapha becomes dominant. From here, the food passes to the duodenum, the small intestine. The food passes to the next stage, where the food passes to the small intestine, the grahani. That is where the bulk of the digestive process, the bulk of the conversion is going to happen. Now, this stage, which is the second stage, is what again? Is a process of conversion. Now, this conversion is going to convert the food, digest the food, transfer the food. Now, in this stage, the second dosha starts dominating, which is the pitta dosha. The second stage, the pitta dosha starts dominating. Now, which rasas are pitta increasing? Which tastes are pitta increasing?
Sour, salty, and pungent.
So sour, salty, pungent. These are basically pitta increasing. So these are like pitta, similar to pitta. So if we are saying that this second stage is a pitta dominant stage, that means the food will acquire a taste in the second stage, which is going to be either sour, salty, or pungent. Correct? In the first stage, it was the kapha, it was the sweet taste. Second is pitta. So the main tastes are sour, salty, and pungent. Go back to the elemental composition. Which element, which rasa out of these three has earth element in it?
Pungent?
Which element has?
No.
Salty.
Sour. So this
Mm.
Sour element, sour taste has earth element in it. So and also what it has fire in it. So if Sar element is Pitta increasing and has earth element, again we are going back to the same concept. Earth element is still required. Why? Because the basic nature is nutrition. The basic purpose is nutrition. This will also explain you why the Vipaka are only three: Madhura, Amla, and Madhura, Amla, and Katu, and why not the remaining three? Because the nature of the food or the purpose of the food is nourishment. So the second stage of the digestive process, where the digestion is happening, conversion is happening, the food will acquire a amla rasa, which is a pitta dominant stage, which is what is seen as the pitta pulse in the second stage of digestion. Now, once this digestive process is completed and food is converted into nutrient fluid and the waste product, the nutrient fluid is absorbed, the waste products are propelled down further into the large intestine. From this, the liquids are absorbed, the fluids are absorbed. This acquires the solid form of wastes. This solid form of waste is something that has to be thrown out of the body, which is the vata dominant stage and of the pungent taste. That is of the pungent taste. And that is the third stage of the digestive process, which is the pungent vipak, katu vipak, where your vata dominant pulse will be seen. Now, if we look at the digestive process, the three stages of digestion, which are the three dosha dominants, and we have said that the digestive process gets completed in about 3 to 4 hours. That means on an average, each stage will go on for about an hour, hour and a half maximum. Correct? So the whole discussion started with how long are you going to be ready to consume the food, right? That's where we started the discussion. If your Agni is ready, how long can you wait, or how long can you say that I have to consume the food in that duration of time to be able to digest the food correctly because my Agni was ready for it? Your Agni is going to be ready when you consume the food goes into the digestive system, mixes with the kapha, is passed on to the duodenum for the second stage of digestion. That's where your Agni is predominantly, correct? Your Agni is present in the Grahani. That's where the digestive process starts. So for the food to go through all this, it is going to take an hour or so. So maximum when you are hungry, we can say that you can wait for an hour maximum. You can push your limits to an hour maximum without having any problems with the Agni. What that means is if you are hungry, you can prolong your meals by maximum an hour. But if you eat after that, an hour, if you eat 2 hours after you are hungry, your Agni is not ready. The question of your Agni being ready before feeling hungry does not arise because your Agni is not ready at all. So eating it before your meal time is an absolutely bad idea. Eating it after you are hungry is still okay if you understand that I have to eat it within, like if if you feel maximum appetite at 12, maybe you can prolong your eating or your lunch till about 1 o'clock. But after that, your Agni is going to start getting weaker and weaker and weaker. And so if you keep on eating food later after 1 o'clock, your digestive process is going to get impaired. One of the most important reasons for Agni Vikruti or food not getting digested properly is not eating on time. Correct? All the textbooks say not eating on time. eating at wrong times. What does that mean? Not eating on time means when you are not hungry. Eating at improper time meaning eating early or eating afterwards, which we completely miss out, we completely ignore. We do not understand that our digestive system does not have time release compartments where you keep the food there till 12 o'clock and the digestive system will automatically take the food at 12 o'clock, digest it, process it, convert it. No. Once it is in your mouth, the whole cycle of your digestion is going to start. And if the cycle has started, then what has happened? It will go down. The mucus is not there, so the mixing will not happen properly, goes into the duodenum. The Agni is not there, so the digestion will not happen properly, goes down. So the entire Ahara Rasa formation process, the nutrient fluid formation process is going to be affected. So when we understand the digestive system, we understood that first and foremost, the Agni and Pitta are two different entities completely. Meaning they are different. Agni is residing with the Pitta. It will only start acting as Agni when the Pitta leaves its liquid nature, leaves its Jala Mahabhuta and becomes predominantly of fire element. That's when it will start the function of digestion. When this happens, that is the stage which is called as the Agni is stimulated, which means it will give signs and symptoms of feeling hungry, feeling the appetite, which means this is the time, this is the ideal time to consume. If you don't consume food at this time, or maybe another 45 minutes to an hour after this, your digestive system is not going to be strong enough to be able to digest the food. And then if your digestive system is not strong enough, the food is not going to get digested properly. It will acquire the half-digested form, which is called as ama, and the whole process of ama formation will start. I always give an example, to make it easier for people to understand. If we have a habit of making a list of things to do every day, okay, we make a list. On the first day we had 5 things to do, we did all the 5 things. The next day we made a list, okay, let's do some more things. We made a list of 7 things to do. We did that. We completed those. The third day we added a couple of more activities. We did a list of 10 things. We finished 8 out of them because that was the capacity. Two tasks remained. We still continued to make a list of 10 things every day. Every day, two tasks kept on remaining. Ended up piling up after, 30 days to 60 tasks remaining to a day. This is exactly how your Agni will go out of balance if you keep stressing it by excess amount of work. Which means what? If you keep on eating at wrong times, if you keep on eating excess quantity of food, if you keep on eating heavy foods which the Agni is not able to digest. Now this is all relative. Relative to what? Relative to your Agni strength, relative to your constitution, etc. etc. So what is heavy for Pedro may not be heavy for somebody else, and vice versa. What is the quantity of food to be consumed by Pedro may not be the quantity of food to be consumed by somebody else, because that is entirely going to be dependent on individuals' Agni capacity, Agni, and the dosha constitutions, etc. So not eating in accordance to your constitution, not eating in accordance to your Agni, not eating at the right time, consuming excess of fluids, all this gradually, slowly is going to build up into your Agni becoming weak and your nutrient fluid not being formed. Your Ahara Rasa is not basically converted completely. So the armor process started, armor formation process has started probably on the first day itself. You may not see signs and symptoms because the quantity of armor is very less. You may not see coating on the tongue. You may not see, bad breath. You may not see heaviness in the body. You may not see any of the signs and symptoms. But the buildup will happen. If you continue doing it, the buildup will happen. And then eventually you will start seeing the signs and symptoms. So basically, the concept, if you understand the 6 stages of disease progression also, what it says, be aware of the changes that are happening in the body. Similarly, be aware of the changes happening in your body in respect to armor also. Probably we missed out some signs and symptoms. Maybe a slight coating on the tongue, or maybe not feeling hungry for a particular meal, or maybe, not feeling fresh enough when you woke up in the morning. Was that an indication that there is the buildup of armor starting in the body? Maybe. But if you're not aware, we have missed it. And we continued to live the lifestyle which was, creating further disturbances with the Agni and further formation of armor. Now, if that continued, then yes, armor formation will happen in the body. And what is end of the day armor? Armor is half digested food. So the natural process is that you consume food, the food is converted into the essence, which is the nutrient fluid, and the waste products. The essence is absorbed into the circulation. Correct? It is absorbed into the circulation and then it gets converted into your tissues. So if your catabolic process is not correct, your breakdown process is not correct, and the end product of the catabolic process is not proper, which doesn't have the capacity to nourish your tissues, how do you expect the anabolic process to happen properly? How do you expect the tissues to be formed properly? Because the raw material itself is bad. So when armor formation starts, what happens? It starts impacting the entire process of tissue formation. What it says, the ahara rasa, the nutrient fluid that is formed, is absorbed into the circulation. Correct? We have studied all throughout, is absorbed into the circulation. But what exactly happens after that? What happens? This samana, which is functioning in your digestive system, will push this nutrient fluid into the circulation, which means the small intestines where the microvilli are, etc., they will absorb this nutrient fluid. It will be absorbed into the circulation. Where will it go from here? The only place, because what is the function of this? This nutrient fluid then has to circulate throughout the body. That is what it is said to do, correct? It has to go and reach the most subtle, finest points in the body. Why? Because nourishment has to be done of the body. Isn't that what we have studied? So if that has to happen, which is the organ that is doing that job? The organ that does this job is heart, pumping this whole thing through the entire body. So this ahara rasa which is absorbed, will then go to the heart. And from the heart, with the Vyana, will be pushed into the body in form of circulation, where it will go and circulate. So when we studied the functions of Vyana, we said, what does Vyana do? Vyana is responsible for circulation. What is it doing? The rasa is taken there, the ahara rasa, the nutrient fluid is taken there, and from there it is pumped into the whole body. Pumped for what? Pumped to reach various sites in the body for the conversion of various tissues to be formed. The subtle digestion has to start, right? The formation of tissues has to start at some point. And for the ahara rasa, for the nutrient fluid to circulate in the body, it is not going to happen on its own. It is going to need the stimulus of the vata to do that. Which vata is responsible for circulation? It is the vyana. So this nutrient fluid will come to the heart and then will get circulated. Now, when ama is formed, your nutrient fluid is itself is ama, half digested. What qualities does it have? It has all the qualities like a bad kapha. I said this earlier to you, that ama is just like bad kapha. Kapha is supposed to nourish the body. Does ama do nourishment? No. Why? Because it does not have the attributes to nourish. It is half digested. It is like fermented, half digested, toxic in nature. So when this ama goes into the circulation, what are the qualities? Heavy, sticky. These are the main qualities. So if heavy and sticky are the main qualities, what is going to happen? When it is going to an organ like heart for further being pushed into the body, it will start causing obstructions on its way to the heart itself. And that is what happens. Atherosclerosis, blocking of the vessels. What is it? It is basically, what do they say? Cholesterol causes blockages of vessels. What is cholesterol? Cholesterol is bad quality fat, bad quality kapha. Where does it come from? Metabolism, digestive processes. Why? Eating bad foods, eating heavy foods, eating fatty foods. When does it happen? When people don't exercise, their agni is not strong, the digestion is not proper. So what Ayurveda says, this ama will go and stick to the walls, cause obstructions in various parts of the body, causing blockages. That is the general explanation given. And what do we see? This ama that is formed, the bad quality kapha that is formed, does that in the body. It goes and causes blockages in the hearts, leading to various heart conditions. So when we say that the ama is formed in the body, first and foremost, it will cause blockages in the vessels, causing obstruction to the flow of in the channels. That is number one. Secondly, ama in nature is heavy. So it will bring about all the changes that you see based on the characteristics. And then the subtle digestion will get affected. The subtle digestion gets affected, your tissue formation gets affected, the tissue formation gets affected, the quality of the tissues is disturbed. When the quality of the tissues is disturbed, what happens? What happens when the quality of tissues is disturbed?
Disease,
Sorry,
disease,
why disease?
what-
Because it's a, oh, sorry.
yeah, you go.
I was going to
Yes.
say, because if the tissues are disturbed and weakened, it's a kaivagunya, so it's weakness, and then the doshas are elevated, so they'll go and attach to that weakened tissue.
So basically, what happens, like, Nicole is saying is that if the tissues are disturbed, if the tissues are weakened, if the tissues are not nourished properly, the strength of the tissues is not good enough, then obviously the organs and the systems that are going to be formed from these tissues are going to get affected. Correct? End of the day, what does Western science say? Cell, tissue, tissues, organs, organ system. That is the chronology in which our body is formed from micro to macro structures. Correct? Cell, tissue, tissue to organ, organ to system. So when we say that tissues are affected, the tissues are going to result into bad quality organs, bad quality systems. Which is what? That is what we call as Kha Kha means what? Space. Kha means Akash. Vaigunya means Vikruti. So what is that? It's a Vikruti of the space, which is what? Where is space? Space is only inside channels. Correct? Space is something which is surrounded by walls. Space is what? Space is where different things can flow. Why? Because space allows the flow of substances. So Kha is a synonym, is used as an alternative word for channels in the body, for the srotasas, for the systems in the body. So when the tissues are disturbed, organs are disturbed, your srotasas are going to be disturbed, your systems are going to be disturbed, which is going to cause sroto vaigunya, which is weakness in the systems, weakness in the system, or kha vaigunya, which is weakness in the system again. And this kha vaigunya is the main cause for diseases. If you look at 6 stages of disease progression, then this kha vaigunya is the most important factor for a disease to happen. Yes, Doreen?
So if to remove the ama, we have to digest it. But as it already goes into the whole body, and it has obstructed some part of the body, how can it be digested? So it will start from the digestive system first, but then how will it be expanded in the rest of the body where the rest of the ama will be?
So, so basically, we come back to the concept of Agni, correct? We come back to the concept of Agni. So we have how many Agnis in the body? 13 Agnis, right? What are those 13 Agnis? Elena?
The Bhutagni,
Bhutagni 5,
and then there's
Jataragni 1, and 7 Dhatu Agnis. So 7 Dhatu Agnis plus 5 Bhutagnis, 12 plus 1 Jataragni, 13. Those are the 13 Agnis. Where do the Dhatu Agnis and Bhutagnis get their strength from? They get it from the Jataragni. What is the Jataragni? The main digestive Agni. What is the Dhatu Agni? The Agnis that do the conversion of the nutrient fluid into the tissues. What are the Bhutagnis? We will talk about it. But they are doing something related to the Panchamahabhutas, digesting something related to that. But all these Agnis, they get their strength from the Jatar Agni, from the digestive Agni. So if you have to strengthen Dhatu Agni, Bhautik Agni, or anything, you have to first strengthen your main Kaya Agni or the Jathar Agni, the digestive Agni. If your digestive Agni is weakened, Ama is formed. If your digestive Agni is strengthened, Ama formation will stop. If your Jathar Agni is strengthened, the Dhatu Agnis will also be strengthened, resulting into the digestive process of Ama at the gross and the subtle level to happen. Again, we are going back to the same concept, the 5 subtypes of Vata, 5 subtypes of Kapha, 5 subtypes of Pitta, they are nothing but Vata, Pitta, Kapha. Called differently because they are located in different areas but doing the same function that the Vata does, Pitta does, Kapha does. The same way, the Jathar Agni, Bhautik Agni, and Dhatu Agnis is the Agni only. It is called differently because it is located in different region or does the function differently. Here it will digest the food, there it will digest the tissues, there it will digest the 5 elements. Clear?
Thank you.
So now when we say that, this Ama is formed in the body and it starts circulating, it starts moving throughout the body, it is going to start causing all different problems. This is clear. Now let's go back to the digestive process to finish off what we, started talking. Now, a very important question was raised by Elena last time. Okay, and I am going to go back to her. Is she there in the room? Okay. So Elena, I want to ask you, you had asked a question on the Bhautik Panchamahabhutas and the Agni of the Panchamahabhutas. Okay. So I want you to talk whatever you know about it, basically because I want to understand, what you have studied, etc. So then I will elaborate and I'll explain the entire concept of the Bhautik Agnis. And I am really, really thankful that you asked this question last time. So, so that, I can elaborate on this now. So can you please do that?
Yes, firstly, thank you for bringing this through again, because it was still a doubt in my mind, especially because you said that it was a completely different way of thought. So I got lost with that.
Yeah.
So what I learned was a little bit different. It's still a little bit different because I learned about the 3 stages of the gross digestion. That means kapha, the first part of digestion that begins when you are smelling the food, when you are seeing the food, so all the senses working and producing the saliva. So even before the chewing of the food. And then the same that you said today, the pitta phase, the vata phase, all the same. And then after the nutrient fluid enter in the circulation for the heart and then the circulation, this nutrient fluid goes to the liver, and there happens the secondary digestion. That is the beta agnis present in the liver that will transform that nutrient fluid in the 5 great elements for them to be able to enter in the tissues, in the cells, and the whole body.
Okay. Okay. So now, coming back to, the discussion that we were having. So the 5 stages, the 3 stages, okay, what you said about smell, etc., okay, is not really a Madhura digestive stage, because the Madhura digestive stage, according to the textbooks, will only start when the kapha starts mixing with it. So you can say that when the Bodhak kapha starts mixing, yes, that's where the Madhura rasa, Madhura taste, Madhura process has started. You can say that. But the predominant action happens when it goes into the digestive system, that is the stomach, because the Kledaka kapha, which actually has the main function of Kledana, which is making the food moist, unctuous, happens maximum there. The Bodhaka kapha, which is in your mouth, is only moistening the food to a certain extent, breaking it down by chewing, mixing it, and helping in the perception of the taste. Okay, so to certain extent, what you're saying, yes, it may start there, but predominant function or the first stage of digestion will happen in the stomach. Okay. Now the next thing that you said, okay, is that the 3 stages of digestion will happen. The food will be converted into the nutrient fluid. Okay. But what is actually Bhautikagni or what is the Bhutagni is a very interesting concept. Okay, and when you asked this question, I went back, I read the books, I went back to the original text, read all the references, and and I will, I will say that, I also studied it better than what I had studied earlier. And that is why I'm sitting here today to explain you this. So, I have no problems in admitting that that question instigated me to read that more. So the textbooks, what they say is, the concept of Bhautikagni is very, very interesting. What is the concept? So what is basically Bhautikagni? Bhautikagni is something that is going to convert the elemental part of the food. Correct. Now, let's look at, say, a mango. Let's look at an example of a mango. Now, the mango outside in the universe, when it is unripe, it is green in color, it is sour in taste, correct? Now, when this mango is processed by what? Processed by the sunlight, correct? When it gets processed by the sunlight, what we call as the ripening process, what happens? The mango changes its qualities. How does it change its qualities? It becomes yellowish, orangish in color. It will become sweet in color. It will start exuding a different kind of smell than it had earlier. The unripe mango has a different smell. The ripe mango has a different smell. Correct. So now when we are basically looking at it, what is happening in reality? The sunlight is not really doing anything on it. Please understand. The heat, what is the heat doing? Because is there any other way of ripening the mangoes as a fruit? What people do today, people will cover it up in a cloth, keep it in a warm climate, keep it in shade, put it in grains and store it. What will happen? The ripening process will still happen. Is that a natural process? No, it is not. But what is happening? The ripening process is still happening. So, Ayurveda says, and I can give you references where these are present, okay, where these references are present in the original text. Ayurveda says that this transformation happens because of the Agni which is present within the substance itself. Again, microcosm, macrocosm. Our body has Agni. Our cells have Agni. Same way, the mango has its own Agni. The sunlight or covering it up in cloth and keeping it in shade etc. What is that? That is stimulating the Agni within the mango to start the conversion process. Now, these processes which are there, these processes of changing of the qualities which are there, is what is the Bhautik Agni transformation that is happening outside in the universe. Again, the digestive process that we undertake, where the food is converted, transformed into a form which is acceptable, the entire nature of the substance is changed. From the rice, nutrient fluid is formed. Has got no similarities in looks, etc., in form of substance wise. It's completely different entity. From the nutrient fluid, the subtle digestion happens, tissues are formed. Again, entirely different entity, different substance, the nature is different. The way Bhautik Agnis function is they do not change the nature of the substance. Mango will remain a mango. One mango will not become two mangoes. One mango will not become smaller in size or half a mango. Mango will remain as it is. What will happen? Only transformation of qualities will happen. Transformation of qualities will happen. The mango, which was probably more fire dominant, will become more earth, water dominant, etc. So changes in that will happen, whereby ripening of the mango or the changes in its nature, where sour becomes sweet, green becomes yellow, those changes will happen outside in the universe, which are happening because of the internal agnis which are present in the substance. Now, the same mango that we consume inside our body, what will happen? It will first undergo the process of digestion by the Jathar Agni. It will undergo the process of digestion. You know, like Elena said, the 3 stages of digestion will happen: the sweet, sour, and pungent. The Ahara Rasa will be formed from it. The Ahara Rasa will be formed from it. The nutrient fluid is formed from the mango. This Ahara Rasa has the ability to nourish what? It has the ability to nourish the tissues also, and ability to nourish the 5 elements also. Understand, again, go back to the basics. Our body is made up of 5 elements. The 5 elements we receive are received from the food. The nourishment of the 5 elements happens from the food. But for this nourishment to happen, the 5 elements which were there in the mango need to be converted into a form which is acceptable to the body. That's the natural basis for digestion. Am I making sense? Elena, am I making sense?
Yes.
So if this mango, which has the ability to nourish my 5 elements, but I should be able to convert these 5 elemental properties into a form which then the body can accept. And this ability or this conversion is done by the Bhautik Agnis. The only difference is between what you said, Elena, is the food doesn't go to the liver to be converted by the Bhautik Agnis. The Ahara Rasa, the nutrient fluid that is formed, has already in it the 5 elements present in it, but not converted into a form which the body can accept. And where are the Bhautik Agnis? The Bhautik Agni is present in the food itself. The mango that you consume had the Bhautik Agni. It just needs a stimulus. The stimulus comes from your Jathar Agni, which basically originates from liver. So the concept of what you studied, it goes to the liver. I will change it a bit and say the liver stimulates the Bhautik Agnis because that is where the entire stimulus is coming from. Or your Agni, your Jathar Agni will stimulate your Bhautik Agnis, and the conversion of the bhautik properties, the 5 element properties will happen, and based on how the elemental composition of mango was, those will be then converted into a form which will then nourish the 5 elements in the body. Where does this happen? This happens after the food is digested into the nutrient fluid, but before the subtle digestion starts. So it is still happening into the digestive system. It is still happening in the grahani. It is still happening in the duodenum, where the main digestive functioning is happening. But there is no separate Bhautik Agni in the body. The Bhautik Agni is present in the substance itself. The Jathar Agni will stimulate it and convert it into an Agni which we know as Bhautik Agni. So the intrinsic Agni of the substance will itself become the Bhautik Agni because it is present in the Ahara Rasa that is formed, the nutrient fluid that is formed, and then it will convert the Parmanus or the molecules of various elements into a form which will then nourish the various elements in the body. This process will be in between the subtle digestion and the gross digestion process before the subtle digestion starts. So this process will start before the subtle digestion, but will continue in the subtle digestion also. The conversion of these elements, the Bhautik Agni conversion and the subtle digestion conversion will continue in the elements also. Why? Because the elements are also made up of 5 elements. Rasa is Jala dominant, Rakta is Jala and Teja dominant, Mausa is Prithvi and Jala dominant, Meda is Jala and Prithvi dominant, Asthi is Prithvi and Vayu dominant. So if you look at it, every single element that is formed is also basically made up of 5 elements. So nourishment of these elements in form of the nourishment of these tissues in form of elements will be done by these conversions of food of the Ahara Rasa by the Bhautik Agni. And then the process will continue. So the main gross digestion followed by Bhautik Agni digestion followed by subtle digestion, and the Bhautik Agni digestion will then result into formation of all the tissues, all the 5 elements in the body. The nourishment of the tissues, nourishment of the 5 elements in the body will happen this way. So we studied this, that the basic process of digestion is the catabolic and the anabolic process. Catabolic process is breaking it down into a form which is acceptable to the body. And then anabolic process is where we convert these and nourish the body to form various tissues, etc. So the same applies for the food also, same applies for the 5 elements also. Is it clear? Elena?
Yeah, let me say something about that. I think
Yes.
that maybe the big confusion starts when we start correlate the Ayurvedic view with the modern view of the anatomy, for example. Because I'm thinking, even the Jataragni, I don't think it was in the text, the ancient text, that it is located exactly in the duodenum, for example.
Hmm.
And I agree that there are Bhuta Agnis even inside each cell. But
Yes.
maybe the main organ of our body in the modern view related to the assimilation of food and the transformation of that is not considered part of our body to what is part of our body is the liver. So maybe it's just try to correlate something with the modern view of anatomy. I don't know. And I don't know if it is a reliable source, but there is a Charak Samhita online. It seems to be reliable. And
Mhm.
they are talking about exactly this correlation between Jatharagni being in the stomach and duodenum, and the Bhuta Agni is in the liver.
Yeah, so basically the Charak Samhita itself, that's what the reference is, and I'll share the references also. But the concept is that the Bhutagnis are not present anywhere in the body. The Bhutagnis are present in the substance itself. It
Okay.
just needs stimulation from the Jatharagni to function. Now, as far as the Jatharagni is concerned, where is the Jatharagni? The Jatharagni is present in the digestive system. Now, what is the digestive system? The digestive system starts from the mouth up to the large intestine. That is an agreed concept in Ayurveda, that it starts from mouth and into this thing. Now, the concept of stomach is explained as Amashaya. Amashaya is the stomach. Why is it called Ama Ashaya? Ashaya means hollow space. Ama is half digested food. Why? Because the food is not yet digested in stomach. And then the duodenum comes in, which is the first part of the small intestine, which is called as the grahani, which is the duodenum. Now, what is exactly grahani? The word grahani itself means to accept. And the functions of grahani, or the explanation of grahani, has been given as annam. Annam means food, grunnati, which is accepts the food, pachati, which means digests the food, munchati, which means transmits the food, vivechayati, separates the food. So all the functions that we talked about of accepting the food, from where? From the amashaya, which is the stomach, where it was half digested, accepting the food from there, digesting the food, separating the food into what? Waste product and the nutrient fluid, and then transferring it, transporting where? Transporting it into the circulation again. These are the functions of grahani explained in the textbooks in Sanskrit. And that, I mean, if we have to relate it to it, yes, duodenum, first part of small intestine, that's where it ends. Because the large intestine is where actually the third stage of digestion happens, where the waste products are formed, the waste products are circulated and thrown out, which is called as the pakwa ashaya. Ashaya means the hollow space. Pakwa means digested food is moved there. So if you look at the explanations, amashaya, grahani, and pakvashaya. Amashaya is stomach, grahani is where the food is taken, digested, separated, and transported. And separated and transported. And the next part is the second part of small intestine and the large intestine, which is in the Western physiology and anatomy. Now, if we look at it as such, modern science, does it say that the digestion happens mainly in the duodenum? Yes, it does. Where are the enzymes coming from? Enzymes are coming from liver, enzymes are coming from the various digestive glands which are present in the digestive system. Stomach also does the function of digestion, but it is not complete. The digestion gets completed in the small intestine is what they are saying. Now, there will be opinions. I mean, I was also listening to some lectures, etc., and the person said the same thing. Do not correlate. Do not correlate. Do not correlate. Like, for example, one of the things what he said is basically that modern science talks about enzymes. Now, enzymes are liquid, enzymes are fluid, but the agni that we talk about, it has to be devoid of any fluid, is exactly what I told today. So, are enzymes really agni? Maybe not. Or maybe the enzymes come into the digestive system, some changes happen in the enzymes before they start acting. The modern science doesn't know yet, maybe. But if you have to understand it in a language, particularly, when we are talking to students who are not studying in India and who have studied the Western anatomy physiology, it is important that you talk in a language that they can relate to and understand. May not be 100%, but at least 90% if you can go, nearer to that and relate, it becomes relatable, easier to understand, and easier to remember also, I would say. Because if we just start talking of Amashay, Grahani, Pakvashay, etc., and the doshas without trying to understand how it happens in the body, it will become very difficult. But having said that, that this is what is, the concept of Bhautik Agni is that it is present in the substance, gets stimulated by the Jatara Agni. That is what Ayurveda has said. The main Agni is responsible for stimulating all the Agnis. The other Agnis acquire their strength from the Jatara Agnis. So same is said here in Charak Samhita also, that the Bhautik Agni will acquire their strength from the Jatara Agni, will convert the Prithvi, Teja, Jala, Vayu and Akash components of the food, convert them into the form which is acceptable to the body, and then they will move into the circulation, into the subtle digestion, where the tissues are being formed. These components of the elements will then nourish the different elements in the anabolic process, in the formative processes. Is it clear?
Dr. Manish, and
Yes.
about just coming back quickly, for the sense, the importance of the senses in the beginning of the digestive process. I reinforce that because for me it makes a lot of sense, because I can feel that, like when I'm hungry and I'm starting making the food, I can feel the salivation and the stomach preparing all the environment to receive the food.
Yeah.
And it is such a kapha sign in the body. Also, when you feel the smell of someone that is using a very, very sweet perfume, you always nausea, for example, the same sense, the same symptoms of a kapha increase came. In Brazil, in Portuguese, we used to say that a rude person is bitter or sometimes sour. So I believe that the tastes and how we feel the tastes are not only related to the tongue, and maybe something related to Pachaka Pitta, that is the Pitta that digests even the emotions and the feelings and the senses.
So but that's what it is, right? Because when we say the taste is the rasa. And if we look at it now, the rasa, the concept of rasa, meaning the sweet, sour, salty, pungent, bitter, astringent, does not remain restricted to the tongue. We went down into the digestive system. We said that there are 3 tastes that the food also acquires in the different stages of digestion. We went further and we said that the ahara rasa that is formed, the nutrient fluid that is formed, also acquires a taste which is called as the post-digestive effect, which is the vipaka. So the taste concept in terms of sweet, sour, salty, pungent, bitter, astringent, the superficial level, very surface level, is here. But it goes deeper, it goes subtle, and that is how, your tastes are eventually going to show effects on the body, because those tastes will have effects on your doshas. Those doshas will have effects on your physiologies, which are your, anatomy, physiology, emotions, etc., etc. So what you're saying is true, that the tastes are perceived here, but that is the superficial action. But the taste will continue to act after the digestion is complete also. They are called differently. In the digestive processes, they are called as the avastha paka, which is different stages and the taste of it. After the digestion, they are called as the vipaka, which is the special taste acquired, but the word taste still remains in it. So what you are saying is correct, that the taste, though it is superficially understood for a common person, it has a deeper and a more subtle effect. It is going to go deeper to the level of, every single tissue. Every single tissue has a taste to it. Your ojas has a taste to it. Okay. Time for a tea break for me. Time for a snack break for you. Okay, some have already started. We will take a break and see you in 15 minutes. Okay.